will form a dichotomy of light and dark, where energy equals mass on a journey designed to fulfill our personal legend and purpose, to use humanity throughout to amplify and transcend, tame the ego, raise the humanity. That's a signpost up ahead. Your next stop, the High Vibe Zone. Hey, y'all. Hey, welcome to the High Vibe Zone. I'm your host, Cherise Fonts, and I am always excited whenever I'm in the High Vibe Zone. If this is your first time in the High Vibe Zone, welcome. You have found the right place, not by accident. There are no coincidences. Here you are. Thank you for joining. Go ahead and drop in the chat. Where are you joining me from? What are you grateful for? Starting with the gratitude that changes the attitude. And if this is not your first time in the High Vibe Zone, welcome back. So good to have you. Super excited to get into this amazing show. And I have another amazing guest. Yes, I am on the prowl for amazing humans. And let me tell you, my next guest is amazing. Every time we talk, it is a high vibe zone in itself. I love hearing about what this person is working on, their life experience, things that they're dealing with, going through, everything. I just love everything this person has to say. And they're working on some pretty cool things, which I'm super excited to have showcased here in the High Vibe Zone. So without further ado, I want to okay. Let me pause before I bring in my guest, because this is a rare occasion. We got another Cherise in the house. This is so rare. Hello, Cherise. Very nice to see you. From Cali. We're in the same area. Are we like the same person? Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't have time for the multiverse right now, but thank you, Cherise, for joining here in the High Vibe Zone. Drop what you're grateful for in the chat. I'm going to bring my amazing guest up, and his name is Matt Zenman. I should have a sound.
Hello, Cherise.
Hey, Matt. Wait, which Cherise are you talking to?
I know, right? I was working on EMC squared. Now I think the C squared of the two of you. But right?
In the High Vibe Zone.
In the High Vibe Zone. I've so been looking forward to the conversation. Thanks for having me.
Likewise. Like I said, it's always amazing to spend time, talk with you. What you're doing. I'm happy to support, highlight, elevate, all of those things, send all the good vibes. But
good vibes.
Before we get in,
yes,
the card of the day, the show, whatever, the week. I'm going to keep shuffling it.
I'm ready. Bring it. Let's go.
Yeah. Why don't you tell me while I shuffle, what's the weather where you are?
It's a little dreary here near Philadelphia today. But my understanding is there's a huge storm affecting most of the country that does not include us. So I'm very grateful not to be shoveling.
Okay. Well,
so there's
I hope that continues. No shoveling for you. And let's see what card we get.
Okay.
Now is the time. Okay. So just so you know, every time I pull a card, it coincides, correlates, amplifies whatever we're talking about. But what does now is the time mean to you?
I have to admit, I don't know all the other cards that you have, Cherise, but I imagine that would be the one that I would want to pick for myself. I mean, I speak to presence. It's at the very heart of everything I do. And what it means to me offhand and what I speak to in part is, I think people often don't realize that one of the greatest sources of unhappiness is living in the not now. We're always so distracted. And the nice part about it is that the opposite is also true. That when we are more present and intentional, that's when the joys of life and enrichment all take place. So thanks for that. That was easy.
Awesome. It always works out. Glad that was easy. Yeah. We got another guest here in the High Vibe Zone. It shows up as LinkedIn user, so I don't know who you are. If you want to drop your name, let me know. But grateful for this community. Love, love, love the gratitude. Keep it coming. Thank you so much for joining us here in the High Vibe Zone. All right, we're going to dive into this amazing conversation.
Sure.
So you and I have had some context behind us. We've talked a few times. We've gotten to know each other a little bit. However, I'm very interested in your origin story.
Okay.
You can go as far back to the womb if you remember that.
I
You
mean,
know,
how much time do we have?
I know, right?
No, I'll give you the cliff notes.
Okay.
Well, look, I mean, part of coming into the conversation, people may know that it's now coming up on 3 years this week ago on Leap Day of
Mm,
20, just as the pandemic set in, that I published my book, which is Zism's Insights to Live By. That led to a podcast called Insights to Live By. And Sharice, I'm approaching episode 100. And
wow.
then all kinds of other things we'll talk about that have since emerged from all the work I'm doing around Zisms. One of the first questions I get, I should just jump right in on, is what's a Zism? It is the life experiences, the lessons that we all learn that we share with one another to improve each other's lives. They're pearls of wisdom. So we all have our Zisms. Now, back to my origin story, and where does that lived experience all culminate in terms of writing the book? Certainly,
Mm,
professionally and being an entrepreneur now for over 20 years. I had founded also a nonprofit called the Internship Institute, ran that for 15 years, and certainly had a number of employers. So there's a whole a backdrop of career, but more to the heart of what I'm doing has a lot more to do with the lived experience. I'm a long time athlete in and around ice hockey. I played at a fairly high level when I was younger. Never went pro,
okay.
but it's, that's in your blood, right? That whole experience. Saw my mom many years ago through a terminal illness, being a caretaker for her. I've had to contend with depression since my teens. That's a huge part of managing that, relying on therapy for many years, certainly being introspective and just working so hard on myself to stay healthy and also give back around that, normalize, especially more recently, the conversation around what I describe to be mood health, which is something that I think affects everybody. Everybody gets depressed. It's just whether you have the elasticity to bounce back to normal range, as opposed to keeping the sinking into that quicksand.
Mhm.
And I was a single dad. You're right. I'm married now to the love of my life for the past 5 years. Just had our anniversary, and yet my son Jake, who's now 22, we divorced. His mom and I when he was 2. So I was
Mhm.
a single dad for almost 15 years, and at the time back then, and had a lot to do with that intersection of becoming an entrepreneur, because I needed the flexibility. It was important to me to be a 50-50% dad. So, man in apartment, washing bottles and changing diapers was essentially, a reality check in my life. So as everything culminates, a number of things, came together for me that, I think a lot of people want to write a book, and I really challenged myself to make sure that I wasn't just doing it to do it, that I really have something of substance to bring, and that it was important to me to also write it in a vacuum. I wasn't looking at any of the other uh, personal improvement language that was out there, and I found that's been to my advantage because the things I do speak to have just a little bit of a different slant on them. So
Okay.
I think that summarizes. Certainly, there's a lot more to things, but bringing things back to the now, that's some of the backdrop.
Thank you so much. I mean, you're absolutely right. There's a lot in here, from caretaker to single dad to depression as a teen, to experiencing the journey of therapy, because it doesn't just go like this, and
Right.
um, to even speaking to, hey, I was a single dad. I needed work flexibility. So I decided to become an entrepreneur. I cannot imagine the wisdom that is in this book because of all of the things that you touch on. And I think even though it is your lived experience, us being humans all experience pretty much the same flow of emotions or cycles. And so I cannot wait to learn more about how this origin story has really accelerated into what you're doing now.
Yeah, I think for anybody, we all have our experiences and the wisdom and lessons that come from it, and everyone's been through what they've been through. I mean, for me, I feel like I've learned a lot. There's what you know about life, there's what you think you know, and then recognizing what you still don't know. So I wanted to bring to bear what I know, and pretty sure what I think I know for the benefit of helping people through whatever it is that they're going through,
Yeah.
and with all the hard work I did to get through it for myself. So
Hmm.
that's the goal, right? Is to impact people's lives for the better.
I love that. And speaking of love, I'm going to turn it back over to Cherise Green. Talking about gratitude, we have some rain coming this afternoon. Cannot wait to open up my window and air cleanse my home. Okay, can we just say Cherise is in the right place?
Right. I like
Like,
the
like
hat. I like the hat she's got on there.
yeah, like
That is cool.
Cherise is like in the right place in the high five. And it feels so interesting saying my name, but another person. But it's
Ah,
also her name. Again, it's all transcending. I'm grateful for Sacramento random rainy days. Absolutely. You're up north, so you're about 2 hours away from me. Um, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And so Matt, I'm very curious. You wrote this book about 3 years ago, yes?
yes.
What has been the ultimate feedback you've received from this book, or why would somebody read this book?
Well, the feedback's been very positive. It certainly encouraged me to keep going to do the things I've done since, and now continue to and plan to do.
Mm,
The concepts in the book, things, um, looking at things in different ways, in and around mindset, well-being, relationships, career,
mm,
which had a lot to do with that nonprofit I ran. Just all coming from different perspectives for people's benefit. But I will say, Charisse, that one of the things that became clear to me not long after the book was published, that while like the book is written as though we're sitting next to each other in a coffee shop, it's very
mm,
conversational, um, but it also is putting forth very practical concepts and techniques that I really realize that they don't lend themselves necessarily to be put into practice by just reading the book.
mm,
So I needed to make it more experiential. So I've probably written the equivalent of two more books since then, in developing a lot of courses and now getting into webinar content, that's all just filtered down from the essence of the things that are going from that conversational tone
mm,
more into activity based practices that help people not just experience the one time that they're going through it, but to carry forward, for the very purpose of improving their lives. And that's where I am right now,
mm.
right, with people coming through my programs, and I'm really getting just a ton of positive feedback, which is so encouraging. And I know we're going to talk about a beta program I'm running right now that we'll
Yeah,
make available to people here if they're interested. So does that answer your question?
it does, and it brings up another question that I usually put questions on a finger, but I'm like I don't trust the finger method right now. I'm going to write it down. Um, do you currently in your life right now use the Zisms that are in your book or that you teach others? And if so, which one stands out to you the most?
That's a fantastic question. I've never. The answer is yes. I mean, I walk the talk. There's a chapter in the book called "Walking the Talk" that is actually at the culmination of, well, here are the things I'm talking about. Here's how I am doing it for myself. That's right. That's a later chapter. There's another one called "Being a Life Athlete," which what I've now done is have that be the overarching.
Mm,
That's the name of the webinar that I've just started preparing. I'm going to start doing that encapsulate the various concepts. One of the ones that led me to write the book in the first place, that is my chapter one, that resonates most day in and day out, is called Earned Confidence.
mm,
And it really is about the fact that again, to the theme of what we've talked about so far, that we've all been through everything we have in our lives, and we're still standing, right? We're still here. And with that, we're not talking about confidence, because confidence can waver. That's just a natural part of being human. But earned confidence is something else. Is that we've proven to ourselves, without a doubt, that we're fully capable of overcoming everything that we've been through so far. And I've just mentioned some of the things that came top of mind in our introduction.
Mhm.
Certainly, there's more. There's certainly more for everybody else. And if you can do that, then you can deal with whatever is real now. It comes back to just living in the now and being present.
Mm.
So with earned confidence, it's one of those things that addresses the tendency that we have in and around future uncertainties, right? Taking us out of the now. So
Mm.
we have a tendency to worry, make assumptions. We have these pre-hashing conversations that we do of things that are yet to come, and they never happen. Most worries never happen, and you just really come back to home base with earned confidence and recognize that I don't need to get caught up in what hasn't happened yet. It's not certain to happen yet. I can just deal with the real of what's going on right now and have the confidence that I've earned that whatever comes my way, I can handle it when that happens. And that's a grounding principle to live in the now.
I love that. And where my brain goes, I'm a gamer. I don't know if we've ever talked about that. I'm a huge gamer. And I'm thinking of, with each kind of situation you go through in a game, I'm currently
Right.
playing Fallout 4.
I'm not a gamer, so I'll just nod.
It's okay. I'll keep it simple. But anyway, I'm playing this game, and every time I level up, I kind of earn, more strength when I go into the next battle, or I earn
Right.
more, you know, points or more ammo or whatever it is to be able to continue the game. And so when you say earn confidence, I'm like, okay, and you're using it as a grounding tool because you can't negate the things that you've gone through. They are all propelling you to prepare you for what's happening now. Is that the concept of earned confidence? Do I have it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, if you, at its simplest form, unless you're going through the most difficult part of your
Mm,
life right this moment, you can overcome whatever you're dealing with because you've gotten through
mm.
worse. And you have to get through, even if it's worse now. Unfortunately, hopefully that's not the case. You still have to get through it anyway, and you will. Sometimes there's just no other way but through, with whatever things happen in life. I'm sure your avatar in your game is just leveling up left and right, and you along with it, Charisse.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And I want to go to this awesome comment here. Melody, love that. Walk your talk. Hello from Massachusetts. What up, Massachusetts in the house? Love it. Um, what is so key about what you're saying is like, and I love that this is your grounding tool.
Right.
Um, with earned confidence, is there anything that you can elaborate on around earned confidence, that kind of, like, what do you say about it? I know I got to read the book, right? We got to read
I
the book.
I'd like to balance it out. I mean, again, so much has evolved since the book itself, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
I continue to evolve, conceptually and make things more and more practical. You had asked me about different concepts that are from the book that live and breathe day to day, and I'd like to take earned confidence and just set it to the side for just a
Okay.
moment and speak to something else that's very related, again, to the point of helping us get out of the unpresent
Hmm.
and be grounded in the now. And one of the challenges that and I think a lot of people recognize in and around self improvement, just quality of life, uh, is that it can be very vague to figure out how to get from here to there in
Hmm.
in how you feel about yourself, in how you improve this or that. And one of the challenges, let's just say past baggage, right?
Hmm.
That's something that, along with future uncertainties, that earned confidence is kind of the antidote to. We all have regrets and resentments and residual negativity, and
Hmm.
again, that's the rehashing, right, and the
Hmm.
prehashing. And the antidote to that, and I think for personal development overall, is self-kindness. And what's important here is that, like earned confidence, which again, in and into itself is very definitive. Well, you can't argue that you're still standing, you've made it through everything that you already have, and then therefore know that you will moving forward. Self-kindness is also very definitive, because you're either being kind to yourself or you're not being kind to yourself.
Mm.
So, Charisse, the operative question is, and this is for everyone to ask themselves, is there any reason why you should be anything less than kind to yourself? I mean, it might give people pause, but
Right.
in the end,
No.
it's a rhetorical question. Of course, you want to be nothing less than kind to yourself. Okay, draw the line.
Hmm.
Draw the line. Be definitive. Even if it's a self oath, I will be nothing less than kind to myself. It's a lot easier said than done, but it automatically puts a spotlight,
Yeah.
when you draw that line, on the automatic negative thoughts that you're having, the actual hashing in real time that we all deal with, and becoming more actively aware
Mhm.
of that in real time. So these are the three forces of distraction that keep us in the unpresent, right? The baggage, the future uncertainties, the automatic negative thoughts, the way our brain works, and we're just hardwired. And then from the principles in and around that have really evolved since, but yet are still about, Z-isms, are those antidotes. So self-kindness is the antidote to past baggage. It's not kind to yourself to hang on to regrets,
Mhm.
or to hold on to a resentment towards someone because that's the thorn in your side. That's where forgiveness comes in. It's important, not for them, but for you.
Mhm.
And all things that fall under that, if you forgive, for some people aren't a big fan of the expression. It's just, an easy way to get to all the things that fall under in past baggage. And then again, the future uncertainties, the
Yeah.
antidote, earn confidence, and then the automatic negative thoughts, as I mentioned, being more actively aware. So when you draw that line, I just want to be really practical here with the conversation for people to take away,
Yeah.
that that these are the things that I are at the real at the very foundation of what I
Mhm.
speak to, that I believe are very definitive and practical, to be put right into place to help people improve their lives. And that's what I try to practice day in and day out, and I guess practice what I preach, if you will, of what really keeps me at a high vibe.
I love that. Oh my gosh. And I appreciate you going practical for people that are watching live and people that will watch the replay, because you know, you're right. Baggage, going into the future, not being in the present, and auto negative. Like, it's an auto, when I think of auto negative, I'm like, I don't drive a stick, I drive an automatic. It does, the shifting for me. Whereas the manual, there's a little bit more work involved. The auto negative, that is something that truly is a consistent thing that we see with most people. And I know that you see it with the people that take your course, and it's definitely resonating with people that are watching for sure. Every day is a gift. I'm grateful for this blessing of today. That sounds like being in the present.
Right.
And Trisha's like, I love this. Should we be nothing less than kind to ourselves? It's definitely something to keep actively and mindful of doing. It's hard
It's
and
hard.
tough, though, takes work. And I've always wondered why. And Trisha is joining us from SoCal. Okay, so we got three
A lot
bodies.
of Cali in the
We
house.
got the whole California covered.
Yeah.
And I think that, to her comment, it does give people pause when you ask that question. Should you be anything less than kind to yourself?
Right. Right. I
And
mean, look, from a human, just the data, right? I
yeah,
mean, this is just
yeah.
science. Our brains are wired to have these automatic negative thoughts. I mean,
Mm,
the research is out there. You hear that, human has 60, 70,000. It's actually more like 6,000. That's still a lot.
hmm.
But the data, the research is that 80% are automatic negative thoughts, and 95% are repetitive thoughts. Now,
Hmm.
we're all different, but that's enough of that. That's a enough of a data point to realize, well, there are a lot. There are a lot, and there's only so much that we can control. And this is just all about being present and conscientious, and to the point just made about gratitude. Right? You can't be grateful if you're not here. If you're not in the now, you can't practice gratitude. A lot of things you can't. All the great things in life, right,
Yeah.
don't happen unless you're actually in the moment.
Mm.
So, that's when being intentional, that's where it starts, drawing the line in and around self-kindness, recognizing earned confidence, and having that be your home base, to know that if you're going through a hard time, you're going to make it.
This is such a great conversation. And in fact, before we got on, life was going on in the background. And my husband, and again, I take this, I receive this. This is beautiful, affirming from the universe. He was like, we got to get through it. He's like, he's like, let's just get through it. And you said basically the same thing. And I love that. And I'm wondering, when people are going through, or maybe people from that are taking your course or some past feedback, when they're experiencing the through part and they're kind of like in that stuck space, what guidance do you have for someone to get through? And I know I'm saying it as like a full word, but sometimes it takes
Sure.
months, sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes it takes, so what are your thoughts on that?
I want to sidebar for just one moment and come back to that,
Okay.
because a part of the earned confidence and the reminder that you'll make it through things is really rooted in my experiences with depression.
Mm,
And a lot of people are going through a hard time, and depression and mood health in general is just one of those filters in life that skews your perspective greatly, as do the automatic negative thoughts and perception itself. Right? Those are these filters that we have to constantly have, these moving parts. In mood health, Sharice, I've been to the deepest depths of despair,
mm,
and I wouldn't
mm,
want anyone to know what that's like. But that's at the point where you have to remind yourself that no matter how bad you feel, because people who have suffer, contend with depression, they've been through it before. It's not their first bout, and you have to remind yourself that you felt this bad before. That
mm,
everything that you're seeing now seems how it is, but it's skewed because of your biochemical
mm,
reality of your brain chemistry, and your synapses are not firing the way they should, and all the things that
mm,
go behind that. And so the reminder, it's a real lifesaver,
mm,
to when you're really low, to say, you know what, I may not see it, I may not feel it, but I know it's there, that I
mm,
will feel better at some point.
mm,
And that's the important reminder at the very heart of earned confidence, to know that you'll be fine. Something difficult to get through, but you will, because you always have. When you talk about the getting through, I just want to make sure I understand your question. You referenced my courses for a moment. Are you talking about people coming through the experience of the courses? Can you just clarify for me when I'm answering, so I
yes.
don't go down the wrong road?
Yes. No, great. You said something, I can't remember the exact words that you said, but you're like, sometimes you just got to get through
Oh, no
it.
other way but through.
Yeah,
Yes.
basically that. I'm
Right.
referencing that.
Got it. Well, what choice do we have?
Well,
Right? And your husband, those are the right words. Focus on. It's easy to have all the whatever moving parts are going on for anybody, and you can get really, uh,
hmm,
hard to really get your arms around things when you feel like the tail's wagging the dog, with whatever circumstances are happening. But what he's talking about is coming back to center, recognizing that this is a particular circumstance. There's something I want to actually go to here again, practical. This is on the website, but it's one of the things that's actually originally in the book, called a perception snapshot.
hmm,
And the perception snapshot's really simple. All you do is just compartmentalize. I think, as a man, I'm just going to be a little bit slanted here. I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing. But if you want to stop all the moving parts in life, start with, at the top, are you healthy? Is everybody else doing okay? Do you have a roof over your head? Right, basic human needs, the Maslow categories. If that's okay, then everything else is circumstantial. Right?
mm,
Put that in perspective. So then you've got everything else. Just your job, your finances, your family, your friends, however that breaks out. And then to the right of that, it's positive or negative.
mm,
And do your go quick. What where's the checkbox? Now the reality is, life being what it is, if you've got all the checks in the positive, nice going, because not many people can say that at any
mm,
given time. Something is always not quite the way you want it to be.
mm,
So when you look at a circumstance like whatever that is that you and your husband are dealing with, and that's obviously going to be in the negative column, you can step back and isolate it and be consider to yourself, well, is how bad is this?
mm,
Is this permanent? Have we been through this before? Did we get through this before? Just,
mm,
right, the obvious questions, so that you can it, the the objective of doing that is to disassociate yourself from what you're going through, emotionally, to just be more
mm.
again objective with that perspective, and say, what, things, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
Or look, I mean, grief, for example, I recently had
Mm,
a death in my family. It's tragic, very tragic, and very recent.
mm,
And I'm still very shaken. I mean, I mean, there's no other way but through. I can't not just let myself feel that and let it
right.
take whatever's course it has to. That's one of the things that's in my negative column right now,
Mm,
and it's unfortunate, but I mean, it's not anything I have control over. I can only control how I take care of myself,
right.
and bottling that up is not a good way to do that. So, um, I'm
Mm,
just trying. I like to be as hopefully people take away as much practical content from our conversation.
yeah. I mean, my heart is with you in this moment as you're navigating grief. And I appreciate you sharing everything that you've shared, because one of the things that I noticed about you and why I'm gravitated towards you is just how your heart is wired to really help people from how your heart is wired. And something like that transcends. And so I'm grateful for the experiences that you had, what you're going through now, because I
Sure.
know that you are in a position of purpose to help other people get through that. So I honor you in this moment, and
Thank
I
you, Sharice.
appreciate where you're at. And I love the practical that you're giving, because the way that I look at practical almost as the linear and we are the lunar, right? And that's
Nice.
really helpful because life is doesn't go like that, but the
No, it does not.
the
Yes.
practical steps can, be parallel to this lunar experience that we have. And, I'm saying, looking from the comments, like your conversation is really resonating with people. And so, if we keep in mind that we're always growing in who we are, it's easier to have self compassion. Yes, goes in alignment with that self
Thank
kindness.
you, Melody. Yeah,
Melanie with a very sweet word.
love that.
I would love.
And thank you, Melody. I see your comment there.
Are you connected with Melanie?
I'm not, but I appreciate
Melanie?
the
Yeah,
personal
Melody.
support. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, maybe y'all can connect after this.
Yeah.
Um, I'd really love for you to go into what it is that you like. How do people get what you have? Like, I'm I'm going through stuff. Someone else is going through stuff. People are going through stuff, right? And what you've created is wholeheartedly for the human experience and also to help people level up in different areas. Talk to me
Right.
about it. How can people, you mentioned a beta. Maybe, I
Yes.
don't know if you want to talk.
Yeah, yeah. Let's jump in that on
Okay.
so it's not rushed. And thank you for that, because this is like that part where it's like I'm so proud, but yet a little uncomfortable, because
It's
I'm talking about
okay.
something
You're in the high
commercial.
vibe zone. You're in
Right.
the
I'm,
high
oh
vibe
wait,
zone.
I'm in the high
You're
vibe
good.
zone.
You're
How could I have
good.
forgotten?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I've the courses that I've developed out of the book are there's several things, but the main one, the starter course, is called the Mindset Reset. That's been around for a while. but it's on version 3 now, and I'm doing a beta for free for people to take the course. Um, and what's specific about it is I'm having them do it as group learning. So
Nice.
I'm looking for group leaders. These would be individuals who, number one, are maybe self-described connectors, and or have a lot of friends around them who are into self-improvement, life and professional development, what have you. So they would then bring on 2 to 3 people. So uh, they can find out about the mindset reset. I think you have this. We talked about mattzinman.com, and that's /mindset reset. That's under the courses tab. And that'll tell you about the course. Now, again, the challenge that I have with this, Charisse, across the board is, while I recognize that the book can't put the techniques into practice, developing the courses, well, they're experiential. So I could tell you about them all day long, but you're still not going to get it unless you do it. So that's also, the cart and horse, for me, and the joy of having people go through the courses, have the opportunity to do it for free. So the way that they do that is also, if you're interested, go then. This is not on the website. It's mattzinman.com /beta. This is a private page that will tell a group leader about this program. And then you simply fill out an intake form, and then I'll be in touch. So I'm looking for 25 groups, and I am currently enlisting group 10, and I've had a couple come through already. So it's just great, to your point earlier, when they come through that experience. Now, the thing about it is that there are no shortcuts.
Hmm.
So the course itself is in around 7 to 8 hours. It's self-paced. This is all on-demand content. So the mindset reset was built to be about an hour a day. I've had people do it in 2 days, no problem. But the beta is built out to be over 2 weeks, because the group learning is like a book club.
Hmm.
So midway through, if you're that group leader, you'd ask your 2 to 3 people, hey, when can you get to the end of earn confidence, which is actually the midpoint section. Mindset reset covers perception, right? We've covered some of these techniques. Earn confidence, and then winning the battle within.
Hmm.
And those are the 3 sections of it. Now, the mindset reset's only 20% of my content. So I've been hard at work for a few years on this. And then there's another course called the Well-Being Reset, which is for anybody, but I actually built that out for companies to
Hmm.
have their people do, because there's so much burnout and all the challenges that people are, hurting. Companies that are really those best places to work, very wellness devoted, that are not, they're doing more than checking boxes, which, by saying this, we're in a very small minority. If you're a business owner out there and hears this, you still resonate. I'm doing the betas for companies too. And then I have 3 life upgrade modules. And then this is all on the website. So I don't want to, take up our time too much on the content. People can go and look at a number of these free resources at mattzinman.com. You can poke around. The depression defeater tool is there. Self-care
Hmm.
report card is there. The perception snapshots there. Samples of the book, the podcast episodes, or, like go get it. That's what it's there for. That's what I have to say about that.
I love it. I'm on the website right now, and I'm looking at some of this stuff. I'm looking at the self-care report card. And as you were talking, I was thinking, where else would you learn something like this? Right? Like, I don't they're not teaching
You mean
this,
this? You mean the self-care report card, like the
just everything that you talked about, like the self-perception and like all of that stuff. Like, where else would you
I
learn
mean,
something like this?
it may not seem it, but I did just get my AARP card. So, the years add up, right? It's like a prop right now. It's right here.
Oh,
Can you believe that crap?
so you're, so
But
you're saying, wait, are
I,
you
I
saying the school of life is where you learn this stuff?
it's a lot of, I can't say I graduated, but I've certainly taken a lot of courses. Now, look, I'm a journalism degree and a content developer. So, through
Hmm.
the work that I did, my nonprofit, the Internship Institute, I created a whole set of content for companies to put internship programs into place. I've had a lot of experience developing coursework from there. So it wasn't like I just like woke up one day and said, I'm going to develop courses. This is what I've done throughout my career.
Yeah.
So in the example, let's say the self-care report card, Chris, it's a good one, right? I don't put myself out in the book as being a fitness guru or a nutrition guru. It's plenty of those out there and plenty of variances about how people want to go about taking care of themselves there. That's not my bag, but I don't want to ignore the essential, foundation of it. And so the self-care report card, which is in that actual being an athlete. Oh, how cool. It's just a little algorithm. It's just a pretty, I mean, I don't know. I thought about it. This just made sense to me. And it's really meant to be super simple. And it's just like, kind of a barometer for yourself to do, once a week or something. And how am I doing? And am I paying attention to, the, taking care of myself? I mean, beyond that, there's nothing really in my content, not the book or the courses, that go much deeper on fitness or nutrition.
Yeah.
So I recognize here, my point is I have some limitations. So, I mean, this is all I did about it. I stay within my lanes with everything else.
I think this is just, it's why I made that comment.
Sure.
Is because what you're doing is allowing people to really get into the present. Now is the time, and self-reflect. And with everything that's going on, I know that sometimes that's very hard for people to do, and to come to a center place where it's a group learning place really does help people level up in life and where they're trying to go. And I'll tell you from my school age kids, it's not stuff that they're teaching them in school.
No, they're not.
And unless you have a specific path that you're taking in higher education, you're not going to really learn it there. And then,
I mean, I would beg to say you're not going to learn it anywhere per se.
That's what I was getting at.
Quite exactly the way that I'm talking about it. I mean, look, the way it's packaged, I mean, we only scratched the surface, unfortunately, for the time that we have. I mean, energy, we could have done a whole thing on energy management, right? On, personal, interpersonal, universal energy, right? That's totally in your high vibe zone right there. I imagine, mindfulness, having experiential mindset. There's so much more to it, but I mean, right, you can't do those things unless you're present. So I really felt it was important for, those that we're serving here to really get at the foundation of recognizing and knowing our time is also winding down here, is just an encapsulation to recognize that one, that to keep things in perspective, that we have a lot of moving parts in life, our perception, our mood health, our inner critic, right? We didn't even get into the super ego, and that,
whoa.
Right? What?
You just said the magic word, ego. I love talking about the ego. Can we pause there for a second?
Well, the super ego specifically is the inner critic.
Okay.
And that goes right to the automatic negative thoughts. Okay, here's what we'll do. We can get, without going deep, we can get really practical on this.
Okay.
All right, Charisse, we all have an inner critic. What's yours? What name did you give yours?
Otis.
You have named it. Is that right? I
named it. Yes.
Yes. Name your inner critic. Now, what does Otis maybe look like? Character traits. You got to give Otis. It can't just be a name. And by the way, if people who do this, and hopefully you will, give your inner critic a name. Give it human form.
Yes.
Make it a name that it doesn't remind. It can't be a name of somebody you know or somebody you dislike from your past. You gotta work backwards and say, by process of elimination, it's a name. I like Otis. That's awesome. Yeah. Right. I mean, it's funny because it's your own inner critic, but you chose I don't know many women named Otis, but you decided to go with Otis.
Yeah.
Is Otis a woman? Otis is a man.
Otis is a male name, and I think what I've noticed is that whole balance of speaking to energy, that yin and that yang. I am mostly in feminine energy most of the time. And then, I've noticed whenever I get into masculine energy, I don't flow as I usually do. And I think Otis was a natural name for that.
So, it feels right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's really interesting, right, that you went with the masculine energy on this. And in a way, as I'm thinking it through, it even disassociates your inner critic even more, right? This is about drawing that line about being nothing less than kind to yourself, because you can't just switch it off. And so, but you have to recognize that your inner critic is not you. It's
Exactly.
Otis.
It's
So it's Otis. So you got to, tell Otis, to bug off or whatever you
chill.
might say to Otis.
Yeah.
And, but give Otis form because it can't just be a name. You got to kind of really embody what this is. And that's going to help you recognize like, this isn't me. Now,
Mm.
what is you is your inner coach,
Ooh. What?
right? That's being
Yes.
proactive.
I
Now we're getting to affirmations. Like everybody knows that stuff, right?
yeah.
But you got to counter Otis with your inner coach, and that's you. So
Okay. Can I
yeah.
tell you my inner coach is 85-year-old Sharice?
Really?
Yes.
She must be very
So
wise. She's in the high vibe zone, no doubt.
so what I do is I will, if I'm in a situation, I will think about, okay, I'm 85 years old. How do I handle this situation? 85-year-old Sharice doesn't really care what people think. She doesn't, not really. She doesn't care what people think of her. She
Nice.
wears the polka dots. She'll sing out loud. She'll dance in public. Like she is 85 years old. She has experienced all of these different waves of life and knows that the little things do not matter, but they make up the things that matter. So pay attention to how you utilize them. And then Otis, to your point, Otis comes in and tries to bring the vibe down by having me worry about the past, the future, what's not happening in the present. And Otis brings in anxiety, doubt, shame, guilt, partners,
The
right?
baggage. Yeah.
The baggage. And then I'm like, Otis, chill, like not right now.
Yeah.
And
Right.
what I
Nice go. I'm so proud of you.
thank you. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Everyone should do this. Keep talking about Otis to everyone. It's so people find it so helpful. It is one of the things I can say that coming out of the course's experience, people
Mm,
remember. This isn't the automatic negative thoughts, which is a pretty deep area, and that's in the mindset reset. Is this activity?
I love it.
Sharice, it's really interesting, right? We've spoke, what, third,
Yeah.
3, 4 times, right?
Yeah.
This is where we always connect. We always have the high vibe connection, and the fact that Otis, 85-year-old Sharice, right? It just reaffirms. Why are you not closer to Philadelphia? Come on.
I'm you know what? It's so funny. I think I have some ties to the East Coast for sure.
Okay.
Philly, Maryland, like all of that kind of area. Um, I don't know why I'm not over
Okay.
there. Maybe the weather. I'm not, I mean, I'm spoiled out here.
I didn't say you to live here,
You
but you could
know,
come visit.
I could come visit.
All right. You
I'll
have
add
you
it to
have
my list.
you have a home here. Now, look, I mean, right?
Thank you.
People are getting the sense, right? This
Yeah,
isn't just an interview. It's not a one-time thing. We've become fast friends, and I
yeah,
just so grateful for the opportunity to be here with you,
yeah.
share our conversation with everybody,
Mhm, mhm.
and those who hear this on the recording, and hopefully they're coming away with whatever value they possibly can. But again, the goal is to keep going, right? Don't
Yeah.
just listen to this and not name your inner critic.
Right. Oh my
Apply
gosh.
your own confidence, draw the line on self-kindness. I could go on and on, but I want to honor you and everyone's time. And is there anything else you want to cover with me?
Yes, one last thing. I want to just get to the comments and then I have this last segment where it's called the mic drop. So hold on one
Ah,
second.
mic drop.
So, hello from Barbados. Oh my gosh. We're international, Matt. We got some amazing. Oh my gosh.
There are no borders
I
to
love
the
it.
high vibe zone.
No, there's not. With some effort, we can turn our inner critic into our honest best friend, plant the seed of self-compassion in it.
Melody, you rock.
Right? You
Yeah.
got to connect with
Love
that,
everything she's saying.
right? Oh
Yes.
my goodness.
She's in the
Fire.
high vibe zone.
Oh my, automatically. All right, here we go. Let me get the emoji because I love emojis. This is the mic drop segment. This is where you say whatever you want to say. Mic drop it, light it up, fire flames. What is something you want to say to leave with everyone that's watching, listening, replay? This is your moment. I'm honoring. There you go.
Wow. All right, I want to reinforce one thing, and I want to speak to something really fast that we didn't get to cover. One, if there's any one takeaway, is to be nothing less than kind to yourself. Draw that line. That is your barometer for your self-improvement. Okay. We didn't really talk about energy management, and there are 3 aspects to it. One is personal. So as an entrepreneur, I look at energy as a more beneficial currency in life than time. So as I'm running my day, I want to know, where am I mentally? Do I have mental acuity to do the harder work versus, right? So consider managing your days according to your energy and acuity versus time of day. Next is interpersonal energy. That's where we are right now, in the high vibe zone. Now we're high vibing, but the opposite can also be true. And that we also all have to recognize in the present a personal responsibility about the fact that we all affect one another,
Hmm.
and not to take your cruddy day and transfer that energy onto somebody else's. Right? We have to be really cautious, especially when, we can't always be in high vibe. But if you're not in high vibe, be mindful who you're talking to, and that's just human courtesy, of being intentional and aware. And of course, universal energy, we don't really have much time to get into. We're talking about law of attraction and vibing and manifestation, but I think most people know a lot about that. So I wanted to take the moment to try and add that energy dimension to the benefit of our conversation.
Mic drop, fire flames, fire flames, fire flames, mic drop. Love it. And you are right. I wish we had more time here in the high vibe zone, because the last three things that you just said, I mean, you just put energy, and I'm like,
we honestly could do a whole show on that.
We got to come back. You got to come back. Okay, you got to come back on the high vibe zone. I have to have you again.
Okay.
Thank
I'd be
you.
honored to. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know I flashed up your website, but how can people connect with you? You're on LinkedIn. I know that.
Yeah.
But what other ways are good for you, for people to find you, connect with you?
Yeah. I mean, you know what, everyone can poke around a website fairly easily, mattzinman.com. There are contact forms there. Find me on LinkedIn is really easy. I think those are the easiest ways. LinkedIn's kind of my jam. So I appreciate that. And I'd love to hear from anybody for sure. Thanks again for having me, Charisse. Thank you to Charisse and Melody, all the other people that chimed in. Really appreciate it.
Yes, I got to throw up this little comment here.
And Trisha.
Yeah.
ARP.
Loved
Thank you, Trisha.
Loved it. Okay. Matt, don't go anywhere. I'm going to put you into don't go anywhere when we go backstage. I'm going to play the super sick intro, outro. Awesome. But I just want to thank everybody for being here in the high vibe zone, for all of your good vibes, wherever you are in life. Thank you so much for being here, whether you watch the live or the replay. My amazing guest, I told you he was amazing. Like, come on, like, keeping it, all the vibes going. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sending you all light, love, and gratitude. Again, thank you for being here in the high vibe zone. I'm Charisse Fonts with my amazing guest, Matt. There you are, Matt Zinman. Thank you. Until next time. Bye, y'all. You're a spiritual being in physical form, a dichotomy of light and dark, where energy equals mass on a journey designed to fulfill our personal legend and purpose, to use humanity throughout, to amplify and transcend, tame the ego, raise the humanity. That's a signpost up ahead. Your next stop, the high vibe zone.